This is a demo of the SpitterCop image viewer using some of the close calls and no calls from the DGF tournament. Didn't get a lot of them because of some issues with filling up USB sticks, but I did get a few, and I'll use those to demo it. First one we'll look at will be from race 144. It was reported as heats 2 and 3. Those would actually be heat 6 as far as SpitterCop knows, because the warm-ups get counted as heats, unfortunately. So load that, and let's see, it said it was on the right side, and dogs 3 and 4. Well, here on the apes image, we can clearly see the ball being spit on dog 3. Apes doesn't show the return of the anchor dog because there's no pass, but I'll add an option to do that. So if we choose to do it at Can-Am, we can show the fourth beam break for the purposes of just calling the spit ball. If we go over here and look at the actual side angle views, here's one for dog 2. Excuse me, I guess it was dog 3. Scroll down a little bit, and we clearly see the dog's ball on the floor. We can auto sequence it here and catch a few frames before the beam break, and you can see it bounce. And also the anchor dog was reported, and even though it's not caught on apes because they don't show that image, you can clearly see that ball bouncing on the floor too. Next we'll look at race 96. Before we do, I should mention you've been seeing me browse to the directory for previously saved images. You can actually get this automatically update whenever each end ends. When the judge pushes the button, a message will get sent from the SpitterCop program that interfaces with the camera and saves the files. It'll save a message to this viewer, which will then automatically load the images so that you can see them as each heat ends. But we're doing the browse to directory version right now, so we'll go to race 109, we said. And SpitterCop's notion of heat 9 on the right side. So we'll pick the right side. And this one was the heat 8 and 9. Let's go back to heat 8. The right side, the start dog. And yes, apes shows the start dog spitting it. If we go to the side image view, let's autoplay the frames so you can see it there. Note that if we only had one frame, we might make it hard to call on that last one because the ball's behind the pole. But you do see his mouth is empty, and you can see the white going behind there. Stay more at a time, turn that off. Go back to that frame. Here's the ball coming out. There it is, it goes past. I guess I just took two frames in this case. One pre-trigger frame and then one frame at the trigger. It looks like it's what this one has done. This one was flagged. The next one's reported as close, but not flagged, so we'll bump this up to heat 9. Reload the image. Here, apes, looks like the ball's in his mouth here, and sure enough, if you come back and look at the side view, we'll let it play here. He keeps it in his mouth, although this is probably as close as it gets. If you look at right when it crosses the start line, the ball is, you know, what's the call here? I think my recommendation, if the ball doesn't hit the floor, it's not a spit ball. If you got to ask yourself, if you're going to call whether the ball's in the mouth at the break of the plane, then you'll never know unless you just happen to catch a frame right at the start line break. So I don't know how you would enforce something that would say what counts is where the ball is when he breaks the plane. I would say if it never hits the floor, it doesn't spit. If it does hit the floor, then you ask whether or not he has possession at the time he was crossing the start line plane. But that's just one of those hard to call ones. We'll just do one more. Sandy assures me, once again, I'm making a long movie that no one will watch. So if somebody wants to see more, they can ask for it. Otherwise, we'll just do one more. This one's going to be Race 96. SpitterCop P12. And let's see, this one is rerun 1 on the left side. Pick the left cop. Won't be an apes image because we don't show the last ones. And here we're seeing, this is I played with a lot of different modes in the camera. This one used the full color mode, but I only selected a subset of the rows to get the frame rate up. The fewer number of rows you capture, the faster the frame rate you can get, so the less dog motion you'll have between frames. But here you can, it's very easy to see it. It's full color, and because it's full color, we didn't get to combine any pixels, so we're at a very fast exposure time, which means the gain is cranked up real high. That's why you see this horizontal banding. These cameras, if you keep the exposure open longer, will give you beautiful pictures. They're very good, but what we're doing here for all these, for this indoor capturing of fast moving object with little or no motion blur, we have the exposure time down around 1 millisecond, and the grain crank really up, which makes it much more sensitive to noise and interference artifact like this banding.